good morning. The rollout of the state's legal marijuana industry has already been shaky, and now there is another setback. A group of veterans is suing the state for allowing people with drug convictions to open dispensaries first. According to the lawsuit, state marijuana regulators improperly limited the initial round of licenses to people with prior marijuana convictions rather than a wider group of so-called social equity applicants as laid out in the original law.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh yeah!
Well, in previous videos, we've had discuss about the dumpster fire of a rollout. Governor Hochul, Mayor Eric Adams has done with the cannabis rollout in New York City and up in New York State. And we've said this before. It doesn't work. They're trying to stop the illegal trade. All they've done was fuel the illegal trade. All you've done is made it legitimate, a lot easier for them to sell it, even though they are selling it illegally in certain shops. These stores are being taken down one by one. Now they're going after the landlords, which I find that is going to be a constitutional situation there, because you can't stop someone from opening a store, even if it's a smoke shop or something like that. You're not going to stop someone that says, "Hey, listen, are you going to sell illegal things?"
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
No, we're not going to sell any illegal things here. Oh, okay. Here, sign the lease. You can't stop a landlord from renting out his property. That would be very racist. And, you could send the landlord to court with anybody trying to open up a smoke shop. Because there are legitimate smoke shops out there that does a decent business out there, that they don't deal in the marijuana trade, but there are many others that have. And then now, here's the other situation that's going on, is that right now licensing has been halted.
Deep hurting. Deep hurting.
Yes, that's right. Licensing has been halted right now because there is a lawsuit from, I think it's 3 veterans who are suing because basically they haven't been able to get a license. They've mostly directed the licensing to ex-felons, which is a violation of the New York state law itself, that you cannot deny veterans. In fact, veterans is listed as one of the ones that should be getting licensing, and they're not. This is what Kathy Hochul has been doing. I still ask, how the hell that she had won the governorship in New York City? Because she is ineffective. She doesn't care. She's just propping up her own agenda. But in this video, we're gonna break down to you her report card on how she's handling the cannabis laws in the state of New York. There is a very good article from the New York Post back on August 16th. If you're watching this toward the end of the month, it says Hochul team flunked New York's illegal marijuana rollout while letting black market thrive, cannabis advocates say. Now, we're not going to read through most of this. I'm just going to give you the highlights of this, and it's mostly her rate card as far as her grading, and it's not good. It's not good at all, because this is what I tell you. Legalizing cannabis for recreational use was never going to work properly, especially in a large city like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. It was never going to work properly. You might get some money out of it in the beginning, but in the end, it will be the illegal trade who doesn't pay taxes, which the money goes right back to China and the cartels. And you may say, so, well, how is China and the cartels getting it? Because they're the ones who are growing this in homes throughout the country. They have built grow centers themselves.
The curtain here, you're gonna leave it, and then behind that curtain, you're going to put plywood.
So the neighbors outside will see the curtains,
Exactly.
but in fact, this is all hidden.
Correct.
This could be any family's dream home.
You have water sources everywhere, so watering the plants with the water pump and timer will be ideal.
But some buyers have other intentions.
This is where the biggest grow will take place.
Tom Yu is a former gang detective with the LAPD. He's raided hundreds of homes, just like this one.
The biggest activities of organized crimes is indoor marijuana grows.
Here in California's pricey real estate market, criminals are shopping for homes exclusively to grow weed.
These groups of people, they don't want attention. Their goal is to make money.
And how much money can you make from an indoor grow like this?
2-3 million minimum.
A year?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
A lot of money, and the punishment is virtually none.
Lessened penalties have only emboldened growers to expand operations.
Taking the marijuana, processing it, and some sprinkling it with fentanyl at points. We know in the Bronx that there are homes that are just pure drug mills for this rollout for them. But let's get into the OCM grades on this edition. First of all, let's talk about administrative licensing. She gets an F in administration licensing. Only 21 adult use retail dispensaries have opened in nearly 2.5 years since the New York's marijuana regulation taxation was approved by the state legislature and then Governor Andrew Cuomo, Hochul's predecessor in 2021. No, Cuomo was kicked out of office on there. She took over from his position. There is a backlog of 463 cannabis license operators that have yet to open. Even if the state doubled its pace in helping them up and running, it would still take 5 years for all operators to open their weed dispensaries at the rate the report card claims. Next, revenue. She gets an F for raising revenue. Halfway through the 2023, the state is only on pace to generate $48 million in new tax revenue from cannabis sales this year. That means New York, with a population of 19.8 million, is barely set to eclipse Montana, which has 1.1 million residents and generated 42 million last year, the group said. And this is what I keep saying. Most of the money that they expected, the billions upon that they were supposed to get, is going to the cartels in China, to the illegal growers. This is going to fund basically all that fentanyl and everything that has hit the streets of our country, of our major cities. Look at what has happened in Philadelphia, New York, San Francisco. Look at the people that are just literally zombies on those streets. Now, for constitutional law, she gets also an F. A judge has issued a temporary restraining order blocking the state from issuing any more cannabis licensing after disabled veterans accused regulators in a lawsuit of violating statutes that the vets say were excluded from the first rounds of licensing in favor of applicants submitted by those previously convicted of marijuana-related crimes when dealing was illegal. Currently, medical marijuana companies were also excluded from the first round of licensing, which offer cannabis to all customers, not just patients. In addition, the group claims regulators disregarded the law by staggering sale of newly licensed products to favor one group of applicants. Some existing medical marijuana providers will be allowed to start opening their stores to all adults beginning December 31st, while others will be phased in through next year. That's if the lawsuit is finished by that time period, because I don't foresee them opening by that time. As I said before, they are going out and saying, well, we're going to give these licensings to people who were convicted of marijuana crimes. Now, understand this. There are some out there that were just caught with maybe a pot or two or something of that nature. Okay, fine and simple. But there are those who've had offenses larger and pleaded down to just marijuana possession. And the district attorney agreed with this. So you're giving licensing to people who have criminal records, which if you go for a liquor license or a cigarette wholesale license, or even just a regular cigarette selling license on them, you cannot have a criminal record. But meanwhile, New York State, well, we feel sorry for these guys that they went to jail and all that. No, they violated the law. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, they violated the law. Now, as I said before, for some, the minor, that's something separate. But there are those who have basically, their crimes are much larger than what the state will tell you. They won't tell you that they've pleaded down from larger charges and got found guilty on lesser charges. They won't tell you that. So you're giving criminals who will probably work with the cartels and work with China to bring illegal marijuana into there and sell it without charging tax on it. With that they're going to sell it directly outward. I'm not saying every store will do it, but there has been some stores, including in Los Angeles, that have said that they are doing this. If you haven't caught that National Geo documentary from about a year or two ago, they said, yeah, we have no choice. We have no choice. Moving on, the one thing they get an A on is for the illicit market. This was a statistic cheeky grade allowing the illicit cannabis market to flourish before the budding legal market got off the ground. With the sheriff's office estimating over 2,000 illicit shops, it used to be 1,500. You notice the number has grown 500 more. And we said this a couple weeks ago. So now it's 2,000 and probably over that by now. There appears no stopping this booming market, the report card said. Further, even though the state passed a new law in March that would fine these shops up to $10,000 per day, players in the industry are doubtful taxes could get collected from these mostly cash-only shops. Because that's, they can't charge it. They can't use a credit card or a debit card because that basically violates federal law. The credit card companies and the banks will not allow this. So mostly this is cash only. Now, for medicinal cannabis, they get a D. Through New York was once the home to one of the most successful medical cannabis programs in the country. Revenue from its medical cannabis sales has plummeted 30% from a year ago. Many patients are now going to unlicensed shops, advocates for medical cannabis shops said. And this is what gets me on this article. Social equity, not equality, equity. They get a D for that. OCM claims to value the equity above all else, but reserves the first batch of licenses to justice-involved individuals, and weak commissions is unfair, the report stated, the state is leaving out countless of black and brown entrepreneurs without drug convictions and women seeking to foothold in the booming industry, making the program inherently inequitable, the report card said. No, it's what you're doing is you're giving the licensing to criminals first. You're not letting anybody else get the licensing. In other words, you're picking and choosing. This is New York State. They're picking and choosing who they're going to give these licenses to. That is incorrect. That is a violation in the Constitution. You cannot. This is, you're sitting there dictating that, yeah, this is going to be great for everybody, except those who want to make true money into it. We're going to give it to people that we just consider, they were arrested, that they were illegally arrested. They weren't illegally arrested. They were arrested according to the law. Now, I would give this a lower mark, but they give a C- for law enforcement. The report card also calls the state crackdown on illicit cannabis operators belated, meager, and futile. With thousands of illegal stores in the state selling untested, untaxed, and unsafe cannabis. Remember what I just said, and I'm going to read that line again. With thousands of illegal stores in the state selling untested, untaxed, and unsafe cannabis, in many cases to minors, which they're not supposed to be doing, a true crackdown strategy coordinated at every level of government is needed to give the state a stronger grade, it said. The Office of Cannabis Management and Hochul's office had no comment to this grading, but one Queens-based licensed cannabis operator said it was for the rich, for the group backed by large national and multi-state cannabis operators to complain about New York's program. It's funny, they're trying to act like they're Mother Teresa. They are multi-billion-dollar companies trying to pass themselves as the little guy, said Osabert Orunda, CEO of the Cannabis Place Home Delivery Service. Of course, there are those out there going to try to make a buck, even through the illicit trade. Understand this. This is what's going on. This is the reason why recreational cannabis should have not been approved in many of these states. You have no control. What you've done is put more drugs on the streets. You have more minors smoking pot, taking drugs, eating edibles. We've seen this already via the mainstream media. We've heard this from several states, that there are kids out there popping a lot of edibles and ending up in the emergency rooms. And this is going to continue until we make this illegal again. It should be only medicinal marijuana, and it has to be controlled properly. And that includes the grow sites. The grow sites have to be licensed differently. They're putting to the point, it's like anybody can create a grow site. They're making it that easy for anyone to grow it. For them to make money, that's a different story. We've heard, on the West Coast, a lot of these companies are basically, going out of business because you have the China and you have the cartels that have created gigantic plantations. And this is not in Mexico. This is on U.S. territories. There are large farms out there. Even though the police, federal authorities have gone after them, one gets shut down, two more end up opening up. This is something that is going to continue until we grab the reins on it and say no more. Make this illegal once again. Only medicinal marijuana should be approved. But who am I to say but a man with a show? Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to share this video. Hit the like, notification bell, and hopefully maybe today's the day I've earned your subscription. Once again, we are on vacation and we'll be back in September with some great content for you. New episodes of Madman with the Show, Fast 5, and also the return of Madman Cafe exclusively on Rumble. And also, if you want to help support a content creator like me, there are two ways to do it. Below is listing in our description. You can make a fast one-time donation, even for a cup of coffee. It would greatly be appreciated. It's listed below. And also, we do have a merch shop, which this month for back to school will be offering an additional 10% off. Be sure to use our promo code of summer10 and get an additional 10% off your next purchase. Thank you for clicking on this video. We'll see you on the next one. And don't forget, support your local content creator.